started on the startup and sequences of the Grand MA2 out at Germantown Parkway. Startup is very simple. So some other campuses have what we call just like a power view. It would usually be on this screen right here, but at Germantown Parkway, we don't have any relays that communicate with the board. Everything is manual there to where you have to go in the back, flip on the breakers, and you're good to go. There is one thing that you'll need to do once you do turn on all the movers and they get done with their process of starting up. You do want to turn on the lamps to the 7Rs and to the Noble Genes and any kind of future light that we have out there that contains a lamp. So right here, I'm going to maximize this view, and the easiest way to turn your lamps on for these lights is to go to user 2, or actually, I'm sorry, user 1 right here, and you'll have a lamp on macro, and it says GTP under it, and then also the lamp off macro that says GTP. So the easiest way is to take your finger, hit this, or hit the lamp off, or you can click these buttons right here. And what this does is it turns the lamps on to the lights, and simply turns them off once you hit this macro. So that's pretty much it. So again, you'll be in this view right here. You'll go to user 1, and your macros will be right here. Another thing that you might want to know are these macros, and basically it's your expansion area. So if you're at the console, you're going to look to your right, and that whole section on the right side is known as the expansion area. So these are macros that basically bring up those lights. This macro brings up every house light in the expansion area, and then it's broken down into A, B, and C. So and then all these turn off the expansion area. Again, this one turns it all. I'm sorry, this one turns it off, and this one turns it on. So everything down here turns the expansion on, and everything up top turns it off. So that is that. So what we're going to do is we're going to minimize this, and we're going to talk about our sequences for right now. Here at Germantown Parkway, we do run everything manual on the worship side of things. So we use these cues right here, and we always jump over these time songs. Every now and then we might have a special song that we do at Germantown Parkway that requires a time sequence, and we'll talk about that later on in a different video. But before I jump into the sequences right here in the cues, I want to talk about loops, and I want to talk about commands right here. So first of all, loops, you already see that we have a couple of them plugged in, and what happens is, I'll go ahead and fire up this. Let me go to 101 just so we're at the top of the service. There we go, pre-service. And you would type that in on the actual console and not on a computer or anything. So we're in pre-service, and we can talk about commands and loops at the same time. So on pre-service right now, we have this command right here. CMD stands for command, so this whole column is dedicated to commands. And so we have executor 3 plus 5 plus 7 at 100% in a fade of 5 seconds. So again, I'll back up, and I'll bring everything down again, all these faders. And again, I'm doing this virtually. So watch what happens when I hit go. You'll see that 3, 5, and 7 automatically come up. This is basically like a virtual lighting director that's helping you out, or an operator that's bringing up the faders for you, so that way you don't have to remember, since there's so many moving parts when doing lighting and everything. So when we go to clock right here, you'll notice that 3 and 5 come down, but the CB72 stay up, and that is intentional. So you see that the command right here says executor 3 plus 5 at 0 seconds, or I'm sorry, at 0%, fade 5 seconds. And then we can talk about our loops right here. So this loop is going to take us to 103. So basically what this means, it's going to skip over 102.1, and it's going to go straight to the first song. And you'll see more commands in here that actually activated our band wash and our all vocals spots. So we'll continue to go through here, and I'll kind of make a pit stop on one of these songs just to kind of show you these other faders on this side. So since we're all busking and manually doing the worship service here at Germantown Parkway, all these faders become your friends right here. So we'll talk about the second fader real quick. If I select it, this is where you're going to see your different positions for your moving lights. The moving lights on the floor the moving lights on the grid, and then also the moving lights up top to the sides of the screens and everything. So basically, you have about 9 positions that you can work with. And if you actually were looking at the stage right now, you would see that the lights are switching positions. So they all have a fade time of 5 seconds, but let's say if you wanted to make the fade time different, there's a couple ways of doing it. And I know some lighting operators like to manually type in a fade time. Others like to go ahead and use what we call the execution time right here. I'm going to expand this so you can see it. You'll see this on the actual console. It's on both sides right here and right here. So I can hit set time and set it to whatever I want between 0 to 60 seconds. So usually I'll play with, 10 to 20 seconds on a slower song, and sometimes even about 2 seconds for a fast song. So basically what this does, it overrides the cue timing in that sequence list. So I'll go back in here, and I have it at 18 seconds right now, and you'll see if I hit go on the next cue, it's counting down from 18 seconds right there. So pretty cool. It comes in handy for worship especially. And then to turn it off, simply hit this button right here. And I do have a quick macro that you can actually press on the board. This execution time actually turns it on and then turns it off. So I'll minimize this, and you can see that this button right here is going to turn red when I hit it. So I'll do it a few times just so you can see it. And now it's off. Now it's back to the default timing. So not all of these executors are set to where they accept the execution time. Like for instance, the weekend services does not accept any kind of manual execution time. It's going to take whatever information is on here. So that's how we have it set for that sequence. But for this one, you can definitely edit it. For executor 3 through 7, you have your XP300s, 7R Sharpies, Noble Gene 350s, Elfbars, and CB72s. And basically, these are your stage effect lights. So you can choose to turn whatever you want up and whatever you want down. So you would do these with the actual faders on the board, and it comes in handy to create some different looks. Let's talk about these faders right here. This is going to be for your left mid vocal. This is going to be for your middle vocal, and then for your right mid vocal. So that way, if someone's leading out a song, you can pick the left vocal if the left is singing, or the middle or the right. So it kind of gives you some freedom there to choose who you want to be lit. For this right here, this is a Speedmaster, and in the first sequence, I do have what we call Special Master right here. So it's saying Special Master 3.2, which is right here, at 132. So watch, if I go to this, it's going to jump to 132 right here. So that way you're not having to type in the tempo. You can actually get the tempos off of Planning Center under each song. And I can show you how to do that in person, and it's very easy. And so let's say if you wanted to change the tempo from 132 to, let's say, 128. You just simply type that in, and you hit please, and it's right there. So now if I hit go and then go back, it's going to stay on 128. So basically, you want your Speedmaster to match up with the tempo of the song, because all of these effects down here will basically take whatever tempo the Speedmaster is on, and the lights will go with the actual tempo once you hit them. So of course you have to hit these effects on the beat for them to match up with everything. So it really does come in handy, and it's a great feature with the GrandMA 2. So moving on to this fader right here, which is a 7R Frost. It basically just turns on the frost and turns it off. Band wash right here is for the band. It lights up the band. You can turn it on and off if you want to. Again, these two faders automatically come on when you go to song 1, and this one's for all your vocals. This fader right here, you can have it up if you would like on worship if they want more front wash, but we tend to only use this fader if we want to override anything. The front wash, the regular front wash, is built into all your cues, such as announcements, your live message, basically all your live looks, like speaker up live, house down live, all that good stuff. And then down here are buttons. These are all basically effects. So you have some where it says sign, move, chase. So if you actually click it, you can see what it says. So that's basically what it says right here. And so it's a sine wave, and it makes the movers do a nice sine wave chase. And I'm not going to break each one of these down. This is pretty good to look at, once you're in person. But all your effects for your elf bars, for your CB72, some color effects, strobe, which we don't really use on a weekend, it's more for Axis, and then some more specific effects right here. And then you have another Speedmaster, which on the actual console, you can just hit it for your tap tempo if you want to do it manually. Moving on, so we'll go through our songs. Oh, and then one more thing I do want to show you. Let me exit out of this, and I'll expand this. You do have a few more effects over here. So you have a 7R frost effect that makes it come out of the frost and back to a beam, back to a frost, whatever. And then you have some circle, pan, and tilt effects on your moving lights. So again, these are all connected to the Speedmaster, and they'll go at whatever speed that you have set as the tempo. We already talked about execution time. Clear 3 all, that you don't really need that. I mean, it's really for programming. And then song transition, this is great to have. So let's say you have all these faders up right here. I know this is like pretty small and blurry, so you can't really see it that well. The song transition is going to bring down your moving lights that contains color information and gobo information. So sometimes, like when you switch between a song and you have a moving light up, you're going to come in and you're actually going to need to bring those lights down in order to have a smooth transition. So you'll hit song transition, and you'll see right here that these lights are coming down. Those are your movers that contain gobo and color wheel information. So great macro to have when going between songs. And then you can simply bring these back up when you're actually into the song. Moving on, talking about post-worship, you'll see that there are built-in commands for that. All the lights come down, the CB72 stay up, your vocal wash comes down, band wash comes down, and your front wash should already be in post-worship, so that way you don't have to use this fader right here. And then we'll go through announcements. Again, we have a loop right here. Let me show you this. If you took this loop out right now and you're in a live service, watch what happens. It's going to go straight to the message. So you need to make sure you do this before the service starts, and really before rehearsal starts. You can get on Playing Center on your phone or on the paper that they hand you, and you can go through it just like that. So I think we're pretty much wrapped up here. So you have some other cues in here that we can talk about in person. You have your VTech cues, and then also your live message cues, and then post-worship, again, is just like these blue cues up here. It has a special master in there for you that you can change to match the exact tempo of the song. And I'm trying to think if I have left anything out. This is good. I'm going to try to keep these videos as short as possible, but we'll always come back and touch on some of this, and we'll move on to our next video.